Hey, Stoney here with another game of Mechabellum. And this time, we're going to watch my friend Sparty go up against a very good player, Rooster, from the European tournament that just happened last weekend. Now, full disclaimer, I have not seen this game beforehand, so I don't know what's happening. It can be highly recommended by Sparty. So let's jump right in. At the bottom here, we have Rooster playing as a elite specialist and Sparty playing as a quick supply specialist. I believe Rooster is hovering about 2100 MMR, and I think Sparty is around 1900 MMR. Round 1, both started with the units. Unit pack that contains the Stormcrawlers. The only difference is Rooster started with Stormcrawler and Crawlers, and Sparty has the Fangs. Now, in this case, I actually like the Fangs a little bit more, depends on where he puts them, because whenever you're going up against the Stormcaller mirror matchup, these late arriving Fangs are going to draw so much power and fire from the Stormcallers, allowing your Stormcallers to deal the actual damage. Keep in mind, though, Rooster is Elite Specialist, which means they have early access to these very powerful blue crawlers. They take 2 shots from an Arclight to kill. And often they can very easily overwhelm this sort of early composition. Alright, good engagement on the crawlers on the right hand side, and actually on both sides. I mean, you can see the power of these level 2 crawlers ripping through Sparty's forces, and of course the Stormcaller providing support fire from behind. Stormcallers do not do splash damage to your own units, so you can actually gain a very considerable boost in firepower when you're fighting this sort of position. Okay. A South Stormcaller could be very interesting, but it seems like it's going to be a standard fight, so I don't know if you want to pick that because it's going to reduce your range by 30. Improved Melting Point, I think might be the card to take if you're going with the heavy standard play, because the additional 20 range on Melting Point, especially in the later game, when you get into a mirror matchup, is huge. 20 meters means that your Melting Point's EM is probably going to hit your opponents before your opponents hit yours. So I think that's going to be a great pick. ER Phoenix is also not bad either, because ER Phoenix actually can stay outside of the anti-air barrage from fortresses. So if you give them enough levels, they can actually do really well. So it's going to be a skip for Rooster, and it's going to be ER Phoenix Sparty. Interesting. Another interesting thing to point is that I don't believe either of these players play standard as their main play style. I think Rooster has traditionally been a very aggro player. I've learned a tremendous amount of knowledge from just watching Rooster playing aggro, and he has several really good guys on YouTube, so definitely check him out. And Sparty, I mean, he's my sparring partner, so I know exactly what he likes to play, and he's been going aggro a lot. So this is kind of out of both of their comfort zones playing standard. Alright, so it's almost identical unit set, with the only exception of Sparty having a few extra squads of Fangs and Rooster having more crawlers. But I think in this case, Rooster is going to take this first couple rounds because of those blue crawlers. They're so darn powerful. If I were Sparty right now, I would prioritize range on these Arclights ASAP. And also probably putting down more Arclights. And for Rooster, Marksman could be a great option. He doesn't really need to worry about chaff clear so far. So having Marksman just to snipe out Sparty's Arclight will actually be a tremendous help to his army. And also when you get range on those Marksmen, they can also deal with sort of the late Stormcaller as well. And the earlier you have the Marksman, the faster they can scale further down the road. So you definitely want to get that scaling train started nice and early. Round 3, we got some unit drop here. Melting Point would be interesting. Phoenix, if you're already taking ER Phoenix, definitely take the Phoenix. So it's going to be Phoenix on both ends, with the only exception is that Sparty has the ER Phoenix. We're seeing more arc lights being put down. No range yet. 450 supply left for Sparty, and there goes the range. For Rooster, not enough for range just yet because of his elite spec. Everything costs more when you're playing elite, but they are better. And now with the Phoenixes in play, I think these late arriving fans are going to earn their keep. Alright, range arc lights doing work. Targeting those level 2 crawlers nice and early. Getting rid of them before they can do real damage into the fangs. Good, good. Ooh, one of the Phoenix got targeted by the blue Phoenix. That's unfortunate. And of course, on the other side, there are no Phoenixes to defend. But it looks like we're going to win on the left-hand side for Sparty and lose the right. And it's just going to come down to the Phoenix versus Phoenix. But I think Rooster definitely has a huge advantage, being also the one that's going to get tower first. Ooh, never mind. The map is playing tricks on my eyes here. Ooh, such luck. Very fortunate for Sparty. Additional deployment is usually pretty good in this sort of standard play because you're just going to need a crap ton of chaff overall. There's going to be additional deployment for both. Yeah, the other 3 cards is just kind of garbage, at least for this sort of game board. Now, if I'm Sparty, first of all, definitely start utilizing your Phoenixes, especially them being outranging your opponent. Level 3 Phoenix. Let's see, what was the damage on Phoenix for level 1s? I don't believe level 1s that are ER can actually kill level 3 Phoenixes in one shot. No, it takes 2 shots. Or is it even more than that? No, it's just 2 shots from level 1 Phoenixes, so it's not terrible. More Stonecrawlers to deal with the ground forces. Fangs are being added in for Rooster, so we are almost identical at this point. With so many chaff on the ground, I do expect maybe the Stonecrawlers to take HE at some point. Ooh, both Phoenixes on the left hand get taken out, and also the Phoenixes on the right get taken out, so Rooster is probably just going to win this game straight up with those Phoenixes. Which is a bit unfortunate because Sparty is pretty strong on the ground right now. Alright. Ensign is great in a standard play. And it's going to be an item for Rooster. I think I expect Sparty to take range on these Phoenixes because both of the birds got taken out just a little too soon. And the reason that these birds are being taken out too soon is because the only chaff in front of these Phoenixes is that single squad of crawlers which get taken out by range arc lights in about 3 shots. And the late arriving chaff, which is right here, are just a little too far away to provide cover for these Phoenixes. So if you look at the positioning between Sparty's Phoenix and Sparty's Crawler, and compare that to Rooster's, where Rooster's Crawler are much closer to these Phoenixes and are able to provide the support a lot sooner, whereas Sparty's crawlers will have to run for at least a few seconds before they can actually get ahead of these Phoenixes. But you can fix this problem very easily by just taking range. 2 pairs of Wasp gets put down for Rooster. A very smart choice. A very powerful option against the ER Phoenixes. And with the item. And with range. Okay, so Rooster is now fully pivoting into Wasps and abandoning the Phoenix line here. I think what Rooster was expecting is for Sparty to put down more Phoenixes and taking range, which means now Sparty will be committed into Phoenixes and then he will be countered by these ranged Wasps. Whoa. The Phoenixes still got locked down by Roosters. That was a little unfortunate. I thought for sure with the fire, these Phoenixes would be a little safer, but no. And these Wasps are absolutely wreaking havoc over there on the far right, and the range prevents them from being killed by these Fangs. Very close game so far. I mean, Rooster definitely has an edge and a slight tempo advantage, and I think Sparty just overall a little bit unlucky. Efficient Giant, I think, is a must-have at this point, right? I mean, we know that this game is probably evolved. Either going to get into Giants or it's just going to get into Marksman. I expect Rooster to probably pivot into Marksman, whereas Sparty get into things like, well, in this case, probably FORTS, because they're already Wasp on the ground, so FORTS with AA. And speaking of it, I mean, there's FORTS with AA. Makes a lot of sense because of the Wasp, and because they're committed with range and also with item, and now with even more levels and even more Wasp. So this is definitely a strong answer to that. Now, if you are going to play forts, you definitely need stronger chaff clear. I wouldn't mind adding 2 more arc lights here. Rooster is already at 5 arc lights, so Rooster is going to have a very strong late game when it comes to chaff clear. However, I don't believe Rooster has what it takes to take out his forts efficiently. He has fewer Stonecrawlers, they're not leveled, and he's using Wasp as this main damage dealer, which are terrible into anti-air barrage on the forts. So this is going to be the turnaround for Sparty. Now, this is not terrible for Rooster either, because he can always start selling out of these Wasps and exchanging them for melting points with range. Sure, you took the range tech on this Wasp. That doesn't mean that you have to stick with the Wasps. And it's not too late to start pivoting. I mean, yes, you are going to lose the few rounds because of these kind of things. In the long run, you definitely don't want to stay on Wasp into it. All right, pretty big round here. None of this is particularly enticing. I'll probably go with the Mustangs. But Mustangs, they do die to the range arc lights pretty quickly. But none of the other units are particularly enticing. Wraith could be a good option for Sparty, but he's already taken the Mustangs. Just an extra layer of insurance against the ranged Wasps. But for Rooster, I think Mustang will also be a pretty good choice. More force gets added on, so Rooster needs to pivot into range melting point like right now. If he doesn't do it, he will get outscaled in about 2 turns. But instead, it's just going to be, whoa, a level 2 War Factory. All right, so it is round 7. It's going to take Rooster a few rounds to get rid of Sparty. The first tech is not going to be range or launcher overload. Instead, it's just going to be missile interceptor to deal with the Stormcallers. He's not going to take efficient maintenance because it gets a little bit too expensive and he's never going to make that back. So essentially, Rooster is expecting this game to end in about 3 turns. And in 3 turns, even with 2 factories, he's still benefiting from not taking efficient maintenance. Did not sell the Wasp, though. Okay? I understand the reason for not selling the Wasp, because if you have Missile Interceptor, they actually intercept the AA Barrage, giving your Wasp the ability to do damage and to stay in the game. But Sparty already has level 3 Mustangs, and they eat Wasp for breakfast. Alright, the right hand side with the War Factory is pushing through, and there's simply not enough firepower for Sparty to break through this level 2 War Factory. So now Sparty is the one that actually needs Melting Point. There's going to be a pretty terrible tower timing here. We got a single Wasp and a few Fangs as AA. Whoa, that Wasp is going to single-handedly destroy all the area. That's fantastic. Alright, very good. The next round is pretty predictable. There's going to be another War Factory on the other side. EM is offered. If I'm Sparty, I would slam that button. There it is. For Rooster, EM is pretty good. Because if your force gets shield, EM would just break a bunch of shields. And if they don't get shield, then you would disable the AA Barrage and giving them some time to recover. Alright, more Stormcallers. So keep in mind, for War Factories, 3 squads of Stormcallers can overwhelm a War Factory. It's about 2.5 squad of Stormcallers, to be honest. And once even one of these missiles land, it's going to almost permanently disable the missile interceptor. Alright, instead of getting that second War Factory, Rooster opting for double teching that War Factory and now generating level 3 Steel Balls and level 3 Phoenixes. So I think what he's hoping for is to EM all the forts on the side, allowing Son of the Wasp to get through and to survive a little bit longer. And then on the right-hand side, it would just push through with this level 3 War Factory. And since Sparty hasn't started with the Melting Point production, this level 3 War Factory is just going to walk right in and punch him in the face. Now, it all comes down to chaff, I think. And it seems like Rooster's got the better chaff. The War Factory is already locking on some pretty juicy targets. Ooh, but these late arriving fans, the real MVP in this fight. And of course, the missile lands and now this War Factory will be permanently stun locked. They're going to move so slow on oil and also on EM and also under the influence of tower debuff. So that War Factory is probably not going to go very far. Great round here by Sparty. Okay. The oil on the ground is pretty detrimental for this War Factory. 3 Scorpions with acid could probably deal with the War Factory fairly reasonably well. So it's going to be Scorpions on both sides. And I'm surprised there's not going to be War Factory number 2 on the other side. Here it is. Ooh, it's not going on the other side, but instead it's going on the side with the oil. Fire goes down on Sparty. And that's going to ignite oil and pretty much destroy all the chaff that's right here. Punch gets picked. Interesting. Here's the asset. But without range, I feel like this scorpion is just gonna die, right? But what's really interesting though is that if the scorpion get one, oh, that one did it get one asset? It seems like it, because that factory went down really fast. If the scorpion could just get one pool of asset on the war factory, I think the forge with punch should be able to deal with that. But right now, as it stands, a level 3 war factory is super tanky. Now, forge level 2 punch does 30,000 damage. Whoa. Is this lethal? This might actually be lethal. We have 3 Stonecaller, full squad, 2 Phoenixes, forts, and then some arc lights. This might actually be lethal. Or just barely lethal? Whoa, barely lethal. So we have one more round to go. But this is going to be very difficult. And of course, acid drops as well. Here's the problem of having all your war factories in one spot, right? All you need is just to have acid in sort of a diagonal line here. I don't even need to look at it to know that Sparty is going to pick acid because there's no defense with acid here. And for Rooster, you have to anticipate this, which means you have to sell this level 2 war factory, potentially putting it on the other side. Probably start taking EM on your Stonecallers because you really need to disable those punch. Shield gets picked for level 3 fortresses. And they're a super tanky unit. 120,000 HP of shield. That's a lot of shield. So what's Rooster doing? I mean, he's not exactly selling the war factory just yet. Well, he's selling something. What do you sell? Whatever he sold the wrong thing because you need to get this war factory out of there. It's going to walk right into acid and it's going to die in like 2 shots from this level 3 fort. So sell that one. Yeah, that's not the right play. Definitely put the war factory on the other side if you can. And EM on the Stonecallers to disable both these triple tech forts, but also just to get through these scorpions in case they are staying alive. This is gonna get ugly. So the answer to War Factory, not walking onto acid, is just to take range so that they never have to move. The fortresses don't actually have range, which means in order for them to engage the War Factory, they will have to walk within range. And unfortunately, the War Factory is actually walking into range, which means even if it destroys the right-hand side completely, because of this level 3 War Factory has to walk across the acid, it is not going to live long enough to win the round. And with only 212 HP left, I think Sparty's got this. And not to mention, there's absolutely no anti-air left. So an extremely well-played game here. I'm surprised nobody actually used melters. I thought for sure after the first War Factory, Sparty would have pivoted to at least to 2 melters with range. But no, there's not going to be melters. It's just going to be straight up beef in the form of these fortresses with punch and with shield. So very well played. And I hope you enjoyed this video. And if you want to see another exciting game just like this, here's one for you. And I hope to see you on the next one.
Prepare your tactics. Mechabellum's calling. Deploy your fortress. The battlefield's alive with swarms.